Hi everyone, I want to share with you how the MLA documentation handout shows you how you can integrate quotes into your paper, and it's a really quick, handy reference guide. So the first page is an actual article I got from the New York Times, and you'll notice all these different colors, and these colors coordinate to different scenarios on how you would introduce a quote. So for instance, a parenthetical citation is when you put the citation at the end of a quote. And if you want to see what I took from the original article, it's this one here in blue. If you wanted to introduce the source before the quote, that's called an in-text citation because it's in the text. And notice that the page number is by itself. You always have to have the author and page number. But there might be some instances where you don't have an author, or you don't have a page number, or if you have to document with a website, it's too long, or you put quotes in your own words. So you might want to look at these scenarios to know what to do. But for the rest of these, I'm going to do a little PowerPoint presentation to explain to you the rest of this handout here. And so let's look at this from different sections on variations on citing quotes and formatting them. So there's another way you can get quotes into your paper by blending small parts of a quote into a sentence. And so you're still going to have the author page number, and if you don't know the author, you'll have the website title or title of article. But you're only blending a small part here into integrating the quote. You can also have a complete sentence introduce the quote, and that would separate the complete sentence from the quote using a colon. So it's another variation. And these help you without saying the word Bilton says, the author says, the author says. It kind of helps you change it up. You can also use an ellipses if you're skipping information, and on the handout you can look at the green selection and see what words I skipped. And you can also change a couple of words in a quote that you might not like the way it's originally written, and you can change it out. Here I specify that the word we means consumers, for instance. And this might have to happen with certain quotes where you need to specify certain things. Now here's a really interesting situation where, let's say you copy and paste something from an article, which would indicate these blue parts here. So that's the selection of the actual article that you took, but it's quoting somebody else. And what you're going to do there is put a single quote mark for the inner quotation where the person was actually talking, and so you're going to use an apostrophe key for the single quote mark and the blue for the double quote mark to show the selection that you took from an article. If you're still not sure about this, definitely drop me a line in the online course or see me after class, and I'll be glad to sort of help you through this. Long quotes are really crazy, and the format of this you'll see on the handout because it's supposed to be double spaced. But notice some nuances about this, like the period is here instead of at the end of the citation. It doesn't even have quote marks around it. Very, very odd. And so notice also it's indented twice. And so if you have a long quote that's more than 4 lines, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines long. The moment it's 5 lines long, it has to be reformatted. And the only way to get it right is to look at an example. And so your handout will provide you with the format for long quotes. There's also some interesting special punctuation cases. For instance, sometimes quotes are actually questions, in which case it would look like this, where the question mark is with the quote, but you'll still have a period here. This one is where you're using the quote to create a question, and that would look like this. So read those to yourself to see the difference. Another thing to keep in mind is having quotes integrate smoothly so that when you read it, it's a complete sentence. Read these two to yourself out loud and notice the difference on why certain words need to be added so that this quote reads correctly in the paper. If you need help, always ask me questions. You can always go to the East Campus Writing Center or the Writing Center. Certainly get help. Now, one other thing I want to share with you is the other part of this handout is the cookie method. And we're going to use this more in class, and you'll see this in other videos in the class. But I want to let you know that this is where you'll find this information, is on the MLA handout. And I want you to read this to yourself, but it shows you how you integrate quotes by first introducing them, providing the quote with a citation, and then explaining or analyzing that quote. And there are many different ways to analyze a quote, and these are some suggestions. And we'll get more practice with this in class, but I wanted to let you know that you will find this on the MLA documentation handout. So if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for watching.